A new documentary with a very personal and unique perspective on immigration, race, and American identity explores one Sacramento man's journey to learn more about his Chinese family's history. But instead of finding answers in the Far East, his search took him to the Deep South. Filmmakers Larissa and Baldwin Chiu are here now with more insight into Far East, Deep South. Welcome to the show, Larissa and Baldwin.
Great to be
Hey,
here.
good morning.
Good morning. So, wow, this story sounded so intriguing that when I came across it, I knew I had to invite you guys onto the show to tell us more. How are you feeling now that you're going to be sharing this film with audiences as it premieres tomorrow?
Yeah, it's totally exciting. We've been on this road for nearly 6 years since the beginning of making the documentary. So to finally have it out is going to be quite a thrill.
Wow. So, give us some more background on the film and how it came to be. And at what point did you two realize that you had a truly unique and special story to tell?
Well, we just first went on a family trip, and we're married, if people don't know that. So Baldwin's family, he grew up in Sacramento and Rancho Cordova, and they decided to go to Mississippi because he heard his grandfather and great-grandfather were buried there. We took a family trip. We didn't even know where the cemetery was. We figured it's a small town. We could probably find it. Next thing you know, we step into a museum in the middle of Mississippi that is a Chinese heritage museum, and we're like, why is there a Chinese museum in the middle of Mississippi? There had to have been a significant population there to warrant a museum. And then we uncover all these amazing discoveries about his family. And we just felt like we didn't learn this growing up in California. We need more people to learn that the Chinese had significant contributions, not just in California, but also in the Deep South.
Yeah, that's right. Because when you think about Mississippi, especially being from California, I'm a California native too. You don't really think about Mississippi, you don't really associate like a Chinese community, a big one there anyway.
Yeah, definitely you don't think about that, and that's why we were so shocked and amazed. In fact, because when we went out there the first time, we thought we were just making a family video, and when we found out all the people that were out there, it was not just one or two families, it was like thousands of families.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the fact that the communities were impacted by Jim Crow laws as well and were segregated from the white society. I think that was the other striking thing, is that we normally don't hear about this discrimination towards the Asian community. And so we definitely felt like it was a story worth telling.
Yeah, you guys made a lot of discoveries, I'm sure, as you researched and dug deeper into the story. Talk about some of those, like about the Chinese Exclusion Act that came out as you did this research.
Yeah, the Chinese Exclusion Act was a law that was enacted in 1882. And prior to going out there, I had only learned about the Chinese Exclusion Act just a few years earlier. And when I first learned about it, I thought maybe it's just a law that was a long time ago and it's no longer relevant.
And it really it prevented Chinese from coming into the country. It prohibited, actually, the Chinese from coming into the country because they couldn't become laborers. People were afraid they were stealing people's jobs after the railroads were being built. And so, and they couldn't become naturalized citizens. So it was really an effort to force Chinese out of the country. And so you found out through this journey
That it actually affected our family. It wasn't just a law in the past that's no longer here. It's actually a law that had consequences and affected families for generations. Not just mine, but many thousands of other families.
Oh, wow. This is really fascinating. And you also felt that it was really important to include this dynamic of the relationship between the Black and Chinese communities in the South. That's in the film as well.
Yeah, I think, going back to like our education, I mean, I think we all learn about slavery. We all learn about segregation. We learn about the civil rights movement. And normally, I think as an Asian American, we think, oh, that's great history, but I don't feel a personal connection. And now we see in the story that we definitely have a connection. The Black and the Chinese communities had to live together because they were not allowed to live in the white communities. And so there was this very symbiotic relationship, and they both treated each other with respect because they were trying to work together to kind of get around the white system that was trying to marginalize them and did successfully marginalize them.
And a lot of what you explore is a historical look at pre-civil rights, that era. Is it still relevant in what we're seeing in the world around us today?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think a lot of times we don't, because like what Larissa said, we don't see and understand the history behind everything. We don't know what got us to where we are today. And so we're out there trying to, you hear people trying to fix the future, trying to make things better, trying to be more diverse, but they don't understand what got us here in the first place. And so being able to understand those relationships in the past and being able to see what happened systemically in our country to lead us to where we are today, I think that really will help us understand how we can better be unified through our similarities rather than divided by our differences.
And ultimately, the film is about how American Baldwin's family is. I mean, he discovers that his family has been in the country for 5 generations. And if you include our daughter, she's the 6th generation American. And I think in light of a lot of the xenophobia in our country and a lot of the anti-Asian sentiment that's been cropping up, we're not foreigners. We're not new immigrants. Yes, there are some new immigrants, but there are many, many families. Baldwin's family is not an anomaly that have been in this country and have contributed for many, many generations.
Larissa and Baldwin, this is fascinating. It sounds like a wonderful project. I know you guys are going to go far with it. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing more from you guys. If you want more on this film, including where and when you can watch it, visit FarEastDeepSouth.com.